All right, guys and gals, what's going on? What's up, Duba? Good to see you guys. Welcome back to another episode of AV Club. We're happy to see you guys here. And I'm going to adjust the way this sucker looks. Oh my gosh. It's like all jacked up. This is total pro podcasting right here. It is the best. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best around. We're never ever.
Nothing
ever
gonna hear.
There we go. Bow, bow, bow. There we go. Now it's a little bit less crazy. Alrighty, dudes and dudettes. Welcome back to our 5th episode of the Hill Valley AV Club podcast, where we discuss all things movies and TV and why we love it, why we think it's great. It's a live show, which means sometimes you do things on the fly, like adjust how things look on your screen.
That's why they call him Captain McFly.
McFly, because it's on the fly. And if you are listening, and if it's your first time here, we are joined by 2 returning guests, actually. First, we're joined by one of our community members, Mr. SteelManBat, making his second appearance. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back, my man. And we're also joined again by a wonderful bearded man who's wearing probably one of the coolest shirts I've ever seen you could get at Target, Mr. MegaMagwitch.
Boom. I'm just a Target shill. I've been placed here for product placement for Target.
Hashtag ad.
Everyday low prices. Also, I resent not being called a community member. I have my Captain McFly emote that I
This
just
is
spammed
true.
in chat,
This is
so
true. This is true. This is true.
Bullshit. And my wife just followed the channel apparently. So
very true. Well, thank you, Mrs. Mega, for following as well. I will rephrase: community member, best friend, and fellow beard entrepreneur connoisseur.
There it is.
Mr. MegaMagwitch. Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for taking the time to watch another movie that I tell you to watch. And
I loved it.
Yeah,
it's my favorite homework of all time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you are punished. You must watch this movie. Oh my gosh. Well, if this is your first time here, guys, this is a monthly podcast where I curate a movie for you guys to pick and watch on your own. The catch is that it has to be a movie that you can watch on a streaming service, whether that be Netflix or Prime Video or Hulu or stuff like that. You watch it on your own, then we get together and then hang out and discuss it, but also talk about other things we've been watching since our last time we got together. And that's where we're going to kind of start off. And actually, before we kind of get into it, it's actually the first podcast of the new year. It's our first show of 2018, which is kind of fun. But it kind of got me thinking a little bit of my favorite movies and things that I watched in 2017. Something that I usually do on my own is I use an app called Letterboxd. Letterboxd. It's like a film diary site. And on there, it's kind of like a film journal, but also kind of like, in a way, like a Facebook for movies as well. And you can kind of see what's coming up in film circuits and things like that, make lists, and kind of keep track of what you've been watching. And they send like a big list of everything that you watched that year. And I haven't gotten mine, so come on, Letterboxd. I'm giving you a plug, and you're not giving me my things. But they'll give you a list that says, like, you watched this many hours. This was the most, your top director, or the most films directed by this one person, or the most watched actor that you had, or most watched actress. I think last year I had Samuel L. Jackson as my top actor, Peter Jackson as my director, and then I don't even remember how many movies I watched. I think it was like 167 or something like that. It's kind of weird. I know.
Slacker.
I know. I'm such a slacker. I am a slacker.
You're a slacker, McFly.
I am. And because there are times when I first started to do it, I was watching like just shy of 200, and I've been slacking. Having a baby will do that to you. So get ready, Mega. Your movie watching time's going to get cut. No. It's okay, though. It's okay. They become like a new form of entertainment for you.
Yeah, they're basically a movie, like a really slow-paced, boring one, like Ghost or something. Yeah.
Very much. Right. So, I guess I kind of asked you guys to kind of think about some of your favorite movies from last year. And Mega, we'll start with you. What were some of your favorites from 2017?
Oof. Oof. Do we have to start with me? Can I pass?
Sure, we can pass. We can go to SteelMan.
Pass. All right, good.
SteelMan, what
I
were
gotta
some of your
think.
favorites from 2017?
I would like to ask the audience. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was thinking about it, and I made my list and realized that, people are always writing articles about how much like superhero movies have taken over cinema these last few years.
Yeah.
When I looked at my movies, I was like, wow, it really is true, because there's at least several of them.
Mhm.
I think one of them is Cap, your namesake of your child, Logan.
Yes.
That was an excellent one.
May or may not be an autobiography of my son in the future.
I sure hope not, because that's like the most depressing movie.
Yeah,
to
maybe
sit
not.
through.
I don't know if I want to wish that evil on my son. You will be
That's a
drunk,
bummer.
alone, upset, and taking care of a senile, powerful old man.
That is awesome.
Good luck.
But I loved that one, and actually on the complete opposite end of that spectrum was The Greatest Showman, another Hugh Jackman movie
Look
at
at
the end of
that.
this year.
Mhm.
I didn't see that.
I've missed
Dude,
it as well.
it's so good. I almost didn't go, and when you're done with it, it's basically, it makes you feel all warm and toasty inside and outside. It's
Okay.
it's so good.
So what's the deal with it? Like, what's the deal with Greatest Showman? Is it a musical or?
It's a straight up musical. So if you
Okay.
don't like musicals, you probably won't like this, but they've modernized it in a way that anybody can enjoy it. So it's kind of in some ways it's a little bit like Moulin Rouge or something,
Okay.
but it's way more family friendly, but it's just kind of like an uplifting, inspiring movie.
Is it kind
'cause
of
he
like the
kinda-
same visual style as Moulin Rouge, where it's like very like almost psychedelic sometimes, or is it
No,
more
not
like
as much.
play-like or more like movie-like? I guess.
A little bit more theatrical. So theatrical in the sense of like a stage play, not like Moulin Rouge.
Mm.
Because Moulin Rouge is almost like a drug trip.
I
And
love
yes,
that the first two movies you've referenced have both been Hugh Jackman films.
I know,
I know.
right?
And when this movie started, I was like, this looks like The Greatest Showman, but like depressing, the one we're talking about today. So.
Exactly. Well, and I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting, especially after watching The Prestige, because he plays such different characters. But so two of those, and then I think the other two that I was going to reference are Lego Batman and Wonder Woman. Both I really enjoyed. So again,
Very nice.
superhero all over the place. But anyway, y'all go for it.
All right, I'm ready. I've looked up a list to refresh myself.
Go
and
for it, go
I
for it.
definitely have movies to mention like that stood out when I saw them in theaters. Get Out. That's a great movie.
Really enjoyed Get
Like
Out.
really good movie that I don't know, just fantastically well made. The guys from Key and Peele are like they understand movies. Like if you
Right.
watched the show, it was apparent that they understood movies and characters like immediately, but like having a movie that they get to handle, or that it's only Jordan who did this one, but still it's really good. Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, I
I've
didn't get to see
really-
it.
I've missed Blade Runner. I've heard like that's just like a visual, just masterpiece.
I'm not a visual guy, but
Yeah.
that movie is like one of the like prettiest movies I've ever seen. Like it's so nice looking. It's crazy. Baby Driver was a movie that I didn't love it, but I liked it. Let me put that. Like I wanted to love it more than I did. I wanted the soundtrack to be a little bit hotter than it was, but it
Really?
definitely had really cool moments. I don't know. That's just me.
Okay.
That's just me.
We'll talk some
I
Baby
did
Driver in a
really
minute.
like it, and I really liked. It had that classic Edgar Wright thing that all of his movies have, where it was like really well set up and paid off the way it was written. Like as soon as Baby puts on the TV, like early in the movie, it was like everything on this TV. As soon as you put it on, it's like every single one of these things is going to be referenced later in the movie.
Yes,
and like every
totally.
single one of them was.
Absolutely.
They referenced the Monsters Inc. line. They had the guy fighting the bull, and of course at the end of the movies, well, you get like the guy seeing red lights lighting him, and he's driving him down. I was like, that's perfect homage to earlier in the film. I thought that was great. Coco is a really good movie.
I missed
Pixar
Coco.
movie.
I wanted to watch.
Coco's a great movie.
I was
that
so
is
on the
ruined-
fence about it.
It was a great movie, and it was ruined by a 30-minute horrible Frozen intro. It was so.
Oh, I
bad.
heard about that.
Yeah,
I heard,
like,
like a bunch of movie
people-
theaters were told to pull The short film.
They got rid of it because they didn't believe in Coco enough, I guess. So they were like, well, we'll tack a Frozen thing on. It was basically like a made-for-TV Frozen thing, but they threw it on at the beginning of this, and it's literally like 22 minutes long.
And I heard it was terrible as well.
Oh, it's so mediocre, like aggressively boring and mediocre. And I just remember like I was in the theater and this guy next to me was getting so angry during this thing, and it ends that special, and then it does like a quick like 2-minute like making of Coco thing beforehand, and as soon as that started, this guy was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like he was so angry.
I just picture this really like overweight guy with like butter dripping down his stomach with like this big bag of popcorn, like, "Come on, start the movie."
It's pretty accurate. And we were in one of those theaters with the reclining seats too. So he was at the height of luxury, and he could do nothing but complain.
Now, were you in the same row as him? Like, were you sitting next to him?
Oh yeah, he was literally right next to me. So I was just sitting there like, this guy's angry. I mean, I wasn't happy, but like
that would turn a bad situation into an entertaining one, because now it's like this guy's just legitimately pissed.
It was
at a cartoon.
Don't mess with people's kids' movies, man.
Seriously, don't do it. Don't do it. You'll get punched in the mouth.
Other 2 movies that I saw this year that stand out to me from seeing in theaters. One that I wish had done better is Logan Lucky.
I heard good things about Logan Lucky.
I really like heist movies, and that was like your classic redneck Ocean's 11. So I had fun with it, you know. And then the other one that I really liked was The Big Sick. I really like that movie a lot.
Oh,
that was the
I've been meaning to watch
Camille Ninja. I don't know how to say his name. Nanjiani, yeah. About his wife's and his relationship, like real life.
Yeah. That's actually on Amazon Prime right now.
It is, because it was an Amazon produced movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And I remember, like, it's a really good movie. It's really like heartfelt, like good romantic comedy kind of vibes. You know, you want to feel good. Not necessarily like your classic like guy rolls his eyes romantic comedy, but like, you know, just like a good heartfelt movie. And the only thing that meaningful story about it that I have is after the wife and I saw it, we were over at her mother's house with her younger siblings that are like in middle school or whatever were there, and we were talking about it, and she was like, it was a really like uplifting movie, and I just remember her little brother was like, you know what else is uplifting? Church. And we were just like, what are you talking about right now? This is like the most random like thing to add on ever, and it just made me laugh so much. So, yeah.
That is funny.
So there you go. If you want an uplifting moment, you can see The Big Sick, or you can go to church.
There you go.
Very nice. Kind of piggybacking off of you guys, you had a bunch that were on my list as well. Logan was on mine, and so was Get Out. But a couple that were on mine that I was kind of surprised by, and some of them were actually Netflix produced projects. Icarus, it's a documentary produced and distributed by Netflix. About the blood doping scandal with Russia and the Olympics.
I never saw that one.
If you are into documentaries, it's one of those where as it keeps going, it's one of those things where I couldn't believe it was real. Like, I couldn't believe this was happening. It was so absurd and so ridiculous that I couldn't believe it. It was so stupid. But at the same time, it's like, this is really happening. The rabbit hole really goes that deep. It's really interesting. It's very cool. Whether you're into sports or not, it's just a very interesting documentary, and it has a lot of espionage qualities to it. The pacing's great. Another one was Okja, another Netflix movie. Yeah. And I'm almost positive this movie triggered the birth of my son. we seriously, my son was born on a Monday. We watched this Sunday night.
There you go, man.
It is it's cool. Okja's an interesting film. It's about Bong Joon-ho, or I think that's his name. He's the guy that did Snowpiercer, and it's very stylized. Yeah, Snowpiercer's fantastic.
Another uplifting movie.
Right, exactly. But if you like his aesthetics and you like his style, then you'll like Okja as well. It takes place in the future. The world's overpopulated, and they're trying to find a cure for the hunger crisis. There's a big food problem, and also just the byproducts of making food as well, and even just animals and methane and just the process of just having animals is a problem. So they discover this like super pig is what they call it. It looks like a cross between like a hippo, a pig, and the eyes of a dog, but it's ginormous. And apparently it like doesn't poop very much, and it makes like incredibly nutritious food that tastes good. And it's got
Dear Lord.
Yeah, and they basically send them out to different farmers across the world. They're gonna pick the premier super pig, and that's where they will raise and have all those animals, grow and thrive based on how well they do across the world. And this one girl grows an attachment to hers, who she names Okja, and the curtain kind of starts to pull back a little bit, kind of like the Wizard of Oz, and it kind of goes from there. And you got some interesting people in there: Tilda Swinton, Jake Gyllenhaal. I feel bad, but it's oh my gosh, I'm spacing out. Walking Dead. It's the guy that plays Glenn on Walking Dead is in it. I'm spacing out on his name. Oh,
he'll forever be known as Glenn from the Walking
right.
Dead.
And then this other guy too. I feel bad. Paul Dano. But yeah, there we go. Paul Dano's in it as well. It's very good. It's on Netflix. I recommend it. It's it has some sad moments. I mean, you do see some animals in peril. If that will make you cry, don't watch it. It broke my wife down. And she went into labor at 5 a.m. the next day. So I mean,
zero chance that my hormonal pregnant wife is making it through that movie. So
I would not recommend it. Maybe until later, but it is interesting. And then another documentary on Netflix as well, Chasing Coral.
Documentary nerd.
I know. I like documentaries. I like good documentaries. And then Get Out as well. Thor Ragnarok. I thought was a lot of fun. Yeah. That made me very happy.
I missed that one in the theater.
Somebody in your chat said a very good one that I meant to mention, which is
one?
John Wick 2.
John Wick 2.
That's so how you do a sequel. That movie was top notch. Like
I enjoyed John Wick.
All the ridiculousness. John Wick is not like it's not an enlightening film.
No, you know what you're getting in there. It's like you're pulling up to McDonald's. You know what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know what's happening.
It takes the action drama and like makes it connoisseur-esque. Like it's so good.
Exactly.
It's just so well made that's like like it's not a lot of modern action is hard to follow or isn't very well shot, but they shoot everything perfectly.
Right, and you never get lost. And one of the things I like about John Wick as well is Keanu looks tight when he's doing all his movements. Like you could tell he prepared for everything.
He puts work in that. Yeah.
Like watching him just like work a weapon. You're like, this guy could like seriously just, really do the Matrix. He could be Neo right now. He is Neo at this point.
Yeah, he trains for months prior to those movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's incredible.
Those movies feel like, I don't know, like good comic books brought to life, like not like superhero ones, but like the random ones that you grab that are just like that's a next
really
level
cool
comic
story.
book. Yeah, like cause the whole world is so cool in them, and he's just so awesome. I don't know.
Supposedly they're trying to create a Showtime series on the Continental, the like that whole underground.
Oh, are they really?
world.
That's awesome. I could really get into that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really liked about that movie too, was the world building. With like the different sects of just the different organizations, and like especially just the hotel. Just the hotel, I would love just to just know what goes on, who's coming, who's going, what are they doing, how's business work, and just how everybody just follows the rules.
You could definitely do a whole spin-off mini series that's just like one-off stories told in that hotel.
Totally.
Like, interesting things going on in there. Yeah.
I really hope that that Showtime. You said it was Showtime, right, Steel? Oh, we may have lost him.
Oh no, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. See, what you were saying. You were saying that that was going to be on Showtime, the Continental storyline.
I think that's what I saw. That they were trying to nab the rights to it or something.
Interesting. So, that is something I would pay.
Keep an eye on it.
I would pay for that. And then my favorite movie of the year was actually Baby Driver. That was my favorite.
Look at that.
That was my favorite for many reasons. One, I am a sucker for Edgar Wright. First and foremost,
he's really good. I mean, you can't go wrong with him. Yeah.
After that movie, I'm like, this guy might be my favorite director. Period. he might be my favorite.
I think you could easily make an argument, at least for working right now.
Exactly. Like, yeah, totally. Yeah. And I mean, for me, Baby Driver is a kinetic musical. The whole movie is a straight musical. I mean, everything is on beat. Everything.
The way that, I mean, Scott Pilgrim was a lot like that too. Like it was a musical, but with fight scenes instead of music. Like
right, exactly.
Songs, and I don't know, Baby Driver. I see where you're coming from. It's a good movie. I mean, it is.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, and what was also kind of fun is like when he starts off and you see him watching TV, there's so many like little Easter eggs in every one of his movies that kind of like, if you've been keeping up with his filmography or things that he had done earlier in his career, you see things and they find a way to make their way in there. Like on the TV where it has like that music video playing like right at the top of the film. It's actually one of the first music videos he ever did that he initially came up with the idea for Baby Driver. Where like it's the guy just sitting there just listening to music in the car, and that's kind of the origin of Baby Driver. And so it's kind of cool just to see those little nuggets or just little shot sequences or just little things like that just are consistent with it. And I liked it. It was fun. It was great action, very creative, good use of motion, fun car scenes that honestly made me think, wow, you know, I'm curious to see how this will inspire chase scenes to come, you know, like kind of like, and you can see like homages to other, you know, movies like The Sting and, I'm spacing out on a couple other ones, but like other ones where there are car chase scenes and you can see where he kind of, you know, took some inspiration on how to move the car and make the car not only just, you know, a prop, but also kind of a character itself within the film as well. I don't know. It's a movie that really, I don't know, it really spoke to me personally, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I loved Baby Driver. I
have to watch it. Several movies y'all mentioned are on my to-watch list. And what you were saying is the baby. We have a 1.5-year-old, and he has cramped my style.
He definitely gets in the way for sure of the movie
it's
watching
worth
stuff.
It,
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, French Connection. Exactly. Thank you, Serotonin.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, French Connection. There's definitely some French
I
Connection.
know we're
love
missing
in there.
an obvious one.
Yeah, I always feel like I feel like such a schlub for not having that on top. But also too, something that I've been doing. I posted it in our Discord chat, which for if you're listening to this on iTunes or Podbean or Google Play or somewhere else. We have a thing called Discord. Sorry, I got distracted and zoned out for a second. It's basically like kind of like a live chat forum group text thing that you can join in, and we have discussions on there. But I posted in our AV Club section where if you were to watch one Marvel movie, I think starting the first or second week of January, it would lead you perfectly right to the opening weekend of Infinity War.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I want to do that. And then one of our mods, S Jones, was like, one a week. Get out of here, you casual. I might do like 5 or 6 a day. It's like, well, I was like, well, all right. We've kind of worked our way through a few right now. I think we're up to chronologically. We're up to. We just finished Thor: The Dark World, so we're getting pretty close. To kind of the halfway point, I guess. But it's been fun.
That's an intense feat to watch them all.
It is, but there's a lot of time though, right? It's basically leading up till May.
Yeah. I think there's 17 movies. Well, if you count Black Panther, I think there's 17.
Golly, that's amazing.
Yeah. Imagine a movie series. Like, when you were a kid, could you even imagine that? I don't know. That's ridiculous. It's like James Bond, but like within a decade. Such a short span. Yeah, like it's crazy.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But that makes it kind of fun though. Like it's one of those things where it's just, gosh, there's so much to watch. But also too, I went and revisited Star Wars: The Last Jedi with one of my mods and personal friends, Kunster. We got together and saw The Last Jedi. It was the first time he had seen it and my second time. I can say after a second viewing, I feel better.
It's better on the second viewing.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you.
But some of my problems and feelings still stand. but I accept it a little bit more, and I'm not as bothered by it. But I still kind of hold true to my same feelings, and we have a whole podcast about it in a bonus episode. But it's one of those things where I wished I loved it more. I think it took a lot of chances, which I appreciate. I think there were just maybe a couple too many.
Are we talking about Destiny 2 right now? Sorry.
Wait, what?
Didn't zone out.
Ouch!
My life is all bleeding together. There were too many chances that didn't pay off. What's going on?
Coming in with a haymaker. Bam! I did see a thing on Twitter floating around where someone found a tombstone in Fortnite and it has D2 on the tombstone. I thought that was,
my gosh.
I didn't know if that was photoshopped or if that's actually in the game. If so,
I want to believe it's in there.
I was like, man, that's some savage stuff. Some savage stuff. But yeah, so it's been fun to kind of work our way through the Marvel movies again and get a chance to rewatch everything. And I gotta say, Iron Man at the very beginning, kicking everything off, still kind of holds up.
Oh, that one is top notch for a first,
yeah, like for the very first entry into, in the teens, like the 15, 16 films that have followed since then. I mean, dang, dude, it is great.
It's crazy because Iron Man wasn't really a popular character when that was made, and Robert Downey Jr. made less money than Terrence Howard on the movie. He made nothing because he was such a liability to hire because his career was in the pooper, And can you just imagine what would the Marvel universe even be without him as Iron Man? Without Iron Man?
Tony Stark. He is that guy.
It's so crazy.
Well, I remember when they were advertising for it, I thought, oh, this is going to be a total bomb. Little did I know.
Whoops. But yeah,
the cast is amazing too with Jeff Bridges, and
not gonna lie, part of me was bummed that Terrence Howard didn't continue. I heard he kind of asked for more money, and Disney said, or Marvel said, no. Nope. Bye bye.
He wanted more than he was worth, is what I've.
That's what I heard too.
Read.
I've also heard he's a bit of a pain to work with.
I can imagine that. That seems he just kind of has the vibe like he might be.
Yeah. Right. Totally. But yeah, I've enjoyed Don Cheadle as Colonel Rhodes instead of Terrence Howard.
He's come into his own over time for sure.
Yeah, they've given him some good lines, and I liked. And what's kind of fun too, still talking about the Marvel movies. A lot of how I felt about some of these Marvel movies, my opinion has changed. I used to hate Iron Man 2. After rewatching it, I used to knock it down, saying, just a bridge for the Avengers. It's just it's a garbage movie. It's like, you know what? It has its place at this point, with so much going on. You get a great introduction. It kind of starts to key you into everything. It's not a bad feeder movie, but it still kind of serves as the bridge movie to ultimately get you to the Avengers.
Well, I think too, when they first started all these, right? It's like y'all said, who would have imagined 15 or 16, 17 movies all together, right? So now that they are all together, you can enjoy each one for what it is, as kind of a chapter in the saga. Whereas when they first came out, we were putting all our hopes and dreams in each one of these movies because you didn't know when they were going to stop.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of how I think it makes it more fun when you can just kind of relax and just enjoy it.
You know what is I think the one I've come around the most on over time is Captain America, the First Avenger, because I really was not interested in Captain America at all.
Trying not to choke you through the internet right now.
Look. I like him as a leader of the Avengers.
Sure.
I wasn't interested in him alone. Him leading a bunch of soldiers was just boring to me.
In a spangly outfit.
Yeah. I was like, why would I want to watch him fight a war, one super dude without other super dudes, because he's not that super. But after watching them all and knowing how the stories progressed and how Captain America is sort of pivotal to the heart of the entire cinematic universe so far, seeing his beginning is really interesting now to me, watching it and just seeing how he as a character has been so he's changed, but he's still been so stalwart, he is a hero through and through, no matter what, and a good person. And the scene where he jives on the grenade is the classic, best.
Oh,
I
so
feel like
good.
the best
I loved
Captain
that
America
time.
moment. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I loved the whole training time, with him and being super skinny and with oh my gosh, I was about to call him Robert E. Lee, Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones, yeah.
But with like Tommy Lee Jones, and like the whole time he's like, gosh, look at him. He's making me cry. Get that kid a sandwich and just all this stuff. And
Stanley Tucci is awesome.
oh my gosh. What movie is Stanley
you want
Tucci?
To kill some Nazis.
Yeah. What movie is Stanley Tucci in where he is not just fantastic? I mean, the dude just has like, I don't know. I love him. I love him. And I love his character.
If you ever want to be afraid of Stanley Tucci, watch The Lovely Bones.
Okay.
Have y'all seen that?
It. No, I saw it. It just came back around to Netflix. Wasn't that?
It's a Peter Jackson movie, and I think it was right after Lord of the Rings, and he plays a villain, and it is quite disturbing.
Is that the one where Jennifer Lawrence got her first Oscar nod, or is that
No.
or is that Winter's Bone?
Winter's Bone, that's that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I always get those two confused.
It's very interesting. It's very visually very good, and then the acting is incredible.
Gotcha.
But anyway, it's a good movie. It's very unusual. It's not kind of your normal. I don't know what genre it would fit in, but
All right.
it's worth a watch for sure.
Very cool. So what have you guys been watching since last month? Anything in between? Anything new, noteworthy? Any TV series that you've been checking out? Or
I've been on movie-wise. I was sick for a day, and I watched a couple movies that I really liked. One of them was What We Do in the Shadows.
Nice.
That vampire documentary by the dude whose name I can't pronounce, who did
Taika
Thor Ragnarok.
Waititi.
Yeah, there it is. I never know how to say it.
Yeah.
But that movie was really funny. And
Director of Thor Ragnarok, too.
Exactly, yeah. So I really enjoyed that movie. As far as like mockumentary movies go, I think it's up there. It's top notch.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you're remotely interested in goofy vampire fun, like, I don't know. It's a very, I mean, it's the same guys who did Flight of the Conchords, so like
amazing.
it's gonna be funny. Yeah, it's got Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords in it. They're all like New Zealanders, and it's got the Murray, the manager from Flight of the Conchords, is in it as like the leader of like the werewolf gang that's in the movie.
Yes.
And this is unreal.
So
I love
good.
that gang. And they're making a spin-off starring those werewolves with possibly the greatest title I've ever seen for a movie, which is Werewolves. So WE apostrophe RE.
Oh, that's awesome.
So stupid, but I love it.
That's
so
so good. I love it.
And then movie-wise, the only other memorable one that I saw is I finally saw the latest Planet of the Apes movie.
Oh,
which
nice.
thought
I still need to see it.
Me too. I'm still lagging
those
behind that
Planet
one.
of the Apes movies,
They
when
blow
they were
you
coming
away.
out, I thought when those were coming out, I was like, this is the stupidest idea I've ever seen.
Same.
Why would anybody want to see a like reboot to a stupid cheesy 60s? Because in my mind, the last Planet of the Apes movie was just that Tim Burton one.
Oh my gosh.
Which was terrible, you know? I'm like, why would anybody want more of this?
Wait, was the Mark
garbage?
Wahlberg one? Was that a Tim Burton one?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's
yeah,
Tim
it's
Burton? Oh
Yeah,
my
I know,
gosh.
right?
Wow.
So it's just like, oof.
Timmy. Come on,
No,
Timmy.
I feel like those movies made that whole series relevant again. Like they're amazing.
They really are, and this one is no exception. Like, it's very, very good all the way through. It's super interesting and well done, and the CG like isn't horrible like so many movies that rely on CG. And of course, you get like Andy Serkis as Caesar, and he kills it. And it's just very, very good movie. And then TV wise, for me, I've been on a weird anime kick. I've been trying to like anime. I've never really been into anime, so I've been watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay.
I've been working my way through that, which is a really good, really dark show that I can't watch with the wife anymore because one of the episodes got way too dark and sad.
You don't want to put that evil on your baby.
Yeah, they get dark like a father mutating his daughter with a dog to try to like maintain his funding and basically destroying her and killing her, and like it's fucking dark and it's really depressing the way that it's handled. And she was like, I'm not watching this anymore, and I was like, I understand. And then I've been trying to work my way through Dragon Ball Super.
Nice.
The dubbed, or the original version, subtitles, and that's really hard for me because, as any kid who grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, you know, you have your voices that you're used to, and having Goku become like a 75-year-old Japanese woman all of a sudden is very difficult transition to make, because they've had the same voice for Goku since he was a little kid in Dragon Ball. It's been the same actress. Like, they've never gotten a new actor for him in the Japanese version. So it's just this woman who voices him, and I'm used to a full-grown man voice Goku.
Oh my gosh.
So it's really weird to have a different voice that is a woman's voice. But it's something. It's interesting. I'll say that. I think the show suffers a little bit from where I'm at. I've only watched like the first 3 arcs. It suffers a little bit from just, hey, remember this? Here it is. Better though. Here's the more powerful version of this. It's like, you remember the Dragon Balls? Here's Dragon Balls that are planet size.
It's like, whoa, what?
Okay. All right, cool. All right, that's interesting.
Nice.
So yeah, but not bad. Not bad. Good week. Good month of watching things for me. I've been liking everything I've seen. So
nice. Hey.
Thumbs up.
Steel, what have you been watching, man?
So let's see. So I haven't been watching as many as I would have liked to, but I did watch in preparation for Blade Runner 2049. I watched the original Blade Runner,
nice
director's cut, and I hadn't seen it in like, I don't know, probably almost like 10 years.
Yeah,
and it was really, I enjoyed it a lot, and I had read a bunch of like different things that people had written about it and why it was their most favorite movie of all time and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I would like elevate it to that status, but for what it is, it's incredible. And he kind of did something like all its own that had never really been done before. So I really enjoyed that, and the storytelling and the kind of 1940s detective type theme, throughout. It was really enjoyable. I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see the new one. I watched kind of spacing on movies that I've seen. Been watching a lot of, my wife just had a birthday, so it was her birthday week, so I've been watching a lot of girly movies with her during the week, so that was very interesting. But
okay, quick question then. Favorite chick flick movie between you guys, if you had to pick?
Favorite P.S. I Love You.
P.S. Okay, that's a good one.
I don't know what qualifies as a chick flick, I guess, because I grew up with just my mom and my sister, and like every movie we watched would have maybe been a chick flick, but like Fried Green Tomatoes, is that a chick flick? Because I really like that movie.
Yeah, totally.
That is definitely one.
That's a good movie.
That's like really good.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of She's All That, because I mean it's got Freddie Prinze Jr.
Is that a chick flick? Because I love that movie.
Totally, it totally is.
I don't know what it is. Like I said, it was just me, my mom, and my sister. So like everything we watched was probably a chick flick. But
yeah,
I don't know.
My less bearded version of myself, my mom would say I looked like Freddie Prinze Jr. So I was like, if only I could be this cool.
High praise.
I know.
Praise to you,
it's like thanks,
friend.
Mom.
What about 10 Things I Hate About You? That
one's pretty good.
That
one's pretty good. That's a favorite
my
of the
wife's
wife's
like
for
favorite
sure.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like,
mine too.
Period. So
yeah,
it's your classic Taming of the Shrew Shakespeare setting.
Yeah,
like
How to Lose a Guy in 10 days as well.
How to lose a guy in 10 days. Yeah,
that might be real.
10 dudes is probably enough to turn him if they're really good. So
maybe just 10 Matthew McConaughey's that'll get you there. Oh, and another thing too, when you were talking about Taika as well, if you're looking for a fun movie to watch with him, or that he's done, Hunt for Wilder People. If you've never seen that, Mega.
I heard it's amazing. I haven't seen it.
Check it out. If you do what you got to do to check it out. Hunt for Wilder People. It's got Sam Neill is in it. It has a bunch of New Zealanders and Kiwis.
Sold.
It's honestly it's really cool. It's this pudgy, overweight kid. He's a foster kid, and he just can't really find a foster home, and so the state's just moving him around, and he fancies himself as a hip hop artist. And he gets put out in the middle, like in the bush, like out in the country of New Zealand. and he's just trying to pretend he's a hip hop star, and like they hunt and forage their own food and stuff. It's like totally rural New Zealand, and he decides he still wants to get out of the situation, so he fakes his own death and
Oh my gosh.
makes like a dummy of himself and lights the barn on fire, and then just runs into the woods. and then Sam Neill basically runs into him, and it just kind of goes from there, and people think he's been kidnapped or he's been murdered, and it just kind of goes from there. It's very goofy. It's got some heartfelt moments in it, and again, it's directed by Taika and the guy that did Thor Ragnarok and What We Do in the Shadows and Flight of the Conchords. And if you like that sensibility, that comedy is definitely present in the movie.
I'm in, then I'll definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, I loved that movie.
Another show that I saw that just started, but Blue Planet 2, oh my word, is amazing.
Yeah, there's something about, does Attenborough narrate that as well?
Yes.
That man can just put me to sleep in the best way. I don't know.
In the right way.
Yeah, he can seriously read me the ingredients to like rat poison, and I'd be like, yes, that sounds so soothing.
I was rewatching, I think it was the first Planet Earth or whatever with my son, and David Attenborough was talking about these donkeys in the desert, and he's like, and look, a pack of wild asses. It just made me lose it. I was like, wow, this is hilarious, but he's great.
Nice. Oh my gosh. And I think some of the stuff we've been watching as well, we've been getting into some of the Netflix series. We watched Godless. You guys check that out on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on my to-do list.
It's kind of it's a Western style show. It's a mini series, so it's just a self-contained, like, 9 or 10 episodes or something like that. And it's about this small town in the Midwest, or like kind of like in the Old West, where it's like a mining town, and almost all the men died in a mining accident. And so there's like maybe 2 or 3 men alive in the town. One's like a small kid who's kind of like or like a teenager who's now like the sheriff's deputy, one sheriff, the bartender, and one old guy, and that's it. Everybody else is women. And Jeff Daniels is in it, plays kind of like a real bad guy that fancies himself a preacher, but is really a sinister, dark dude. And kind of starts making his way to that town because one of his guys leaves the gang, and he doesn't really take too kindly to that, and kind of wants to run him down, and kind of leads him to the town where the show takes place. And it's good. It's fun. If you like westerns, it's a good show.
I like how you said he didn't take too kindly.
He didn't take too kindly to that boy getting out of his gang. But it's good, though. It's fun to see Jeff Daniels as a bad guy, and you kind of get to see some of that in Looper. You get like a small window of what he can do. This is like next level of that.
He's got that perfect, like, all your memories of him are really happy. So when he plays somebody sinister,
scares the crap out of you.
A lot of gravitas.
When you think about it, you think of Dumb and Dumber. Exactly. And then when you see this, you're like, now he's like cutting people's arms off and shooting people in the face.
I think of Speed when I think of him. But
Speed. Oh, man, Speed is so good. I love Speed. That is like McDonald's. That's a movie that's just so good.
This is the most basic, like, just straight up front premise.
Yeah.
Those are the best Keanu movies. He's really good in movies where it's just
it's true.
This bus has to go fast, and he has to make sure it keeps going fast.
Mm-hmm.
His dog's dead. He's got to kill the guys who killed his dog. Those are what he does best at. No depth. Just, all right, visceral. I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, don't complicate it.
Yeah. Gosh, so good, though. So good. So bad, but so good. But anyways, guys, that's cool. Definitely got some good stuff for everyone to kind of check out. Before we get into our discussion of our choice this month, which is Christopher Nolan's The Prestige, we're going to do what has kind of become something I like to do, is to kind of show the trailer for everybody so they can get a chance to have a little refresher. So we'll go ahead and get that guy queued up. You guys can
cue it up.
Yeah,
homeboy. I'm just filling the dead air. It's that's what I'm here for.
I appreciate you.
Can't never have silence. Don't waste any time, baby.
Right? Exactly.
Y'all are too serious.
Well, this is a professional podcast.
Yes.
Very serious. Very, very serious.
Very serious.
Yeah.
That made me want to say, why so serious?
Shoot me.
We're going with the Nolan references. I like it.
How'd you like that?
How do you do it?
Magic.
I'll perform this feat in a manner never before seen by yourselves or any other audience anywhere in the world.
The audience loved it.
This trick is top-notch.
We need to celebrate.
A real magician tries to invent something new. It's something that other magicians will scratch their heads over.
I suppose you have such a trick.
Actually, I do. It's the one they're gonna remember me for.
What happened?
It was the greatest magic trick I've ever seen. I need to know how he does it.
He has no trick. It's real. Every great magic trick consists of 3 acts. The first act is called the pledge. The magician shows you something ordinary, but of course, it probably isn't. The second act is called the turn.
He's obsessed with discovering your method.
The magician makes this ordinary something do something extraordinary. Now you're looking for the secret, but you won't find it. That's why there's a third act called the prestige. This is the part with the twists and turns, where lives hang in the balance.
Julie, come on!
And you see something shocking you've never seen before. This was built by a man who can actually do what magicians pretend to do.
Real magic.
I know what you really are.
How does he do it?
You want the truth?
Nothing is impossible.
Abracadabra.
No more secrets.
Secrets of my life.
All right, dudes, that is The Prestige. Fantastic movie. And
So uplifting.
I know, right? The most uplifting thing ever. It is so good. So good. It is honestly one where I know my wife is like, it's so depressing. Why do you like this? I'm like, it's so great. The plot summary.
I wasn't depressed, but
I find myself personally uplifted and inspired. But yeah, it's directed by Christopher Nolan, written by Jonathan Nolan and Christopher Nolan. Stars Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Caine, and an awesome appearance by Mr. David Bowie. After a tragic accident, yeah, exactly. Rest in peace, David Bowie. After a tragic accident, 2 stage magicians engage in a battle to create the ultimate illusion while sacrificing everything they have to outwit the other. Is the plot summary as read on IMDb. And this movie came out in 2006, so it's not too old, And I personally enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Now, Mega.
yeah,
I know this was your first time to see The Prestige.
it was indeed. I didn't even know this was a Nolan movie until like after I'd finished it.
Really?
Yeah, I knew not. I remembered it coming out like vaguely, and like that's it. I just remembered it was a thing that came out, and I never saw it, but then now I did, and I really did enjoy it. I have to say. I mean, it was. Can we talk? When do we get into spoilers? Is this a spoiler? I can't remember if we do spoilers here.
Sure. Honestly, at this point,
I'm not
because
gonna-
this was announced like almost a month in advance, if you haven't seen The Prestige, stop the podcast now or leave the stream, come back later and catch up when you get a chance to.
Yeah.
Go ahead because
All right.
we usually announce these at the beginning of the month to give people a few
This
weeks
is
a
well
chance to
known.
watch
People
it.
know what they're. You don't come into the AV club having not seen the movie.
Don't
Yes.
talk
Right?
about movies.
It's like going to a book club and being like, "Don't spoil the ending." You've had the book for a month. All
Yeah,
right? You got plenty of
exactly.
time.
Totally.
All right.
and
so
and it's
good.
been a decade, so
Yeah, and it's been out
It
since
has been out.
2006 as well.
It has
So,
been out since 2000. That's also fair.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
oh, that's
So
weird to think. It's over a
overall-
decade old. Wow.
It is, right? Isn't that? That's really weird.
Mm.
Overall, really like the movie. Just a cool story of revenge and one-upsmanship. You know, that was interesting. But two things that immediately stood out to me, or three things that immediately stood out to me with the writing while watching it was it did classic Hollywood script writing where you start and end with like the same thing, like you state the thing. It starts with the Michael Caine speech that was just in the trailer that just played, and it ends with that exact same like speech being told. That's classic. If you can get the same idea stated twice, once at the beginning and once at the end of your movie, great. If you can have it be literally the exact same scene, even better. Like that's perfect, like Hollywood writing that I
it's
love
just like a
in
solid
movies.
bookend.
Yeah, you begin and you end, and of course it's a 3-act structure that he's talking about, which obviously relates again to film. Another thing about the writing I love in this movie, my favorite thing about it was the like pacing of it, how it was told. It was like very jumpy in time, with it being them both reading each other's journals, but like it overlapping, even though one's reading the other's journal after he knows the other's read his. And like it was like a whole, the way it was told was just very interesting. The way that they wrote it like that.
And they didn't hold your hand with the jump back and forth. I had to kind of like stop and think, like, wait.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, are we at the future? Are we flashing back right now, or is this him? Yeah, president. You got to go by. Does Hugh Jackman have a limp right now?
Right.
So you can tell where you're at in the plot.
But I enjoyed that though. I liked having the non-linear storytelling because
I love non-linear storytelling.
Yeah, and it's one of those like you're not 100% sure that that's happening, and then eventually you start to figure it out. But and I love it how the way that they describe the 3 acts. Like like even like whenever Mrs. McFly and I are talking about movies, I refer to the either the point of either the climax or when things start to shift. I always call it the turn.
The turn.
Yeah, that's always just that's now like common nomenclature for me when I talk about a movie is the turn. And it's so baller and so cool. Like it's almost a movie where it's like it's almost too smart for its own good in a way.
My favorite thing about the movie though, with little writing things for me, is that it can entirely be summed up by the one line that Hugh Jackman has when he sends Scarlett Johansson. I can't remember any characters' names. Sorry. I've only seen it once, so it's not gonna stick with me too much. But Hugh Jackman's character, he sends Scarlett Johansson to spy on Christian Bale, and he says, "You're gonna lie to him by telling the truth." And this entire movie was lying to you by like telling the truth. Every single twist or turn or whatever you want to call anything,
we were also lied to.
Was blatantly said to you in the movie at some point. Like he uses a double. He was using a double. Explain it immediately. The twist of the movie,
right? But we keep thinking there's something deeper, right?
Exactly. We're
because
on
they told us
mindset.
The truth.
Yeah,
because they told us the truth, we expect something more. Like the entire movie can be summed up like with that. There's some sort
and
of
that's exactly
machine.
how Michael Caine says it as well. He's like, you're always expecting something more. It's not, you just can't take something away. You got to bring it back. You have to you have to show it to us. We have to be shown it for us to really accept it and believe it.
It's so perfect how they do the trick. The reveal of the trick to distract us even more.
Which one?
Like, the
Christian
big
Bale's trick or Hugh Jackman's
Christian
trick?
Bale's trick. Christian Bale's trick. How they do it where Hugh Jackman, we see his reaction to the trick, but we don't see the trick.
I love that. And
we're like, what the fuck was the trick?
Yeah, what did he do?
Because we're so focused on that, we don't even like pay attention to the fact that Michael Caine just gave us the answer to the whole movie. Like, he just gave us the reveal, but we're so sucked in that we're like, what was the trick? We're thinking about problem over here. It's misdirection. It's literally magic misdirection in the movie when you're watching it. We're like, the directors are like, look over here. Look at this. What's the trick? What's the trick? And Michael Caine's like, this is the actual reveal of the movie.
He's
right
like, this is what it is. Pay attention. It's like, what? What's over there?
And it's a Christopher Nolan movie, so you should know that Michael Caine is always right, and he has the answers.
That's right.
You're just not thinking about it. It was a really cool movie. It was
interesting too. Like there's a lot of parallels. Like you already talked about it with the diaries, how they're each reading the other's diary in different moments in time, and how they're each playing the other.
Yes.
through what's been revealed and what hasn't been revealed. And then you've got, you already talked about the 3 acts, with writing and the movies.
Yeah.
And then also, you have, like we're spectating in the movie, and then you watch them be spectators of the magic. And then I think he mentioned it at some point in the movie where he said, you're disappointed when you find out the truth, and you really don't want to know the truth. You kind of want to move past that. And you see it like when he shows Christian Bale shows his wife the bullet trick, the bullet catch.
Yes.
She's like, oh, well, that's not so impressive. And he's like, well, it's actually quite dangerous. And he's like trying to build
he's still trying
again.
to hype it up to her.
Yeah, and she's like, oh,
almost-
now that I know, this is kind of dumb. It's like, well, that's why I didn't want to tell you.
Yeah.
Well, and it's almost how we feel at the end of the movie once you realize what was really going on.
Yep.
And
they actually made it.
And all that
Nice.
was
Oh,
lost too. I mean, you're just kind of like, wow, that's kind of terrible,
Right.
And so you kind of
Yeah.
have that same experience that they leave you with, I think, on purpose. But
Has there ever been a movie where somebody is more willing to go to lengths for revenge or one-upsmanship than to basically kill themselves over and
100
over
times.
again?
Yeah, like an
100
infinite amount of. Yeah, it's 100. He
Just
does a
to frame
100-day
a dude.
appearance. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Or just to
oh
say,
my
hey,
God.
I made the trick better.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
He's
it's
like-
interesting because it wasn't even necessarily revenge at a point, because Hugh Jackman straight up says at one point, he's like, I don't care about my wife.
I just
Like,
want to
he
beat him
just-
now.
He just hates this guy and wants
Mhm.
to beat him so badly.
He wants to take
Well, that-
everything from him, and he
that
wants to
was
take the
other
trick from
thing
him.
that was really interesting is you watch these kids. He didn't start out that way. He started out like really heartbroken, and you see them
Mhm.
kind of just devolve into this like horrible, human whatever. They turn into these like addicted to one-upping the other, really, because it's not
Mhm.
even revenge as much as they just wanted to. He said at the end of the movie, "I win." He's like, "What? What are you talking about?"
You won.
It's like, what did you really win? Like, there was really nothing to be gained by it. I mean,
Yeah.
other than just continuing to sink down further and further and further, and I don't know. For me, like also too, there's an interesting parallel with really just kind of like with other things, just not just movie making, but also just how far are you willing to go for anything, like especially if it's to succeed in something, are you willing to go to like this nth degree, and
Are
is
you
it
willing
worth
to get
it?
your hands dirty?
Yeah,
As
exactly.
Michael
To
Caine
quote
says
the
with
movie, yeah,
bird.
are you willing to
Yeah.
get your hands dirty? And at one point, does it stop being worth it? And when, I mean, and at what cost too? Like, you're succeeding, but at what cost? Or what is the juice worth the squeeze? And it's one of those things where it's and then not only that too, just the parallels within cinematic storytelling as well. I mean, movies are essentially kind of like one big magic trick as well. They're trying to fool you even just for like Christian Bale's character talks about it. Even if you could fool him for just like a second, you've won. You did it.
Right.
Movies, for a great movie, you'll never take a moment to think, wow, this is stupid, or they screwed this up. If you don't ever think that, then the movie succeeded, I think.
Yeah.
And
Or if you have an emotional response, even, right? Because they've
Yeah.
convinced you of a reality that doesn't exist.
right. And so that's part of one of the reasons why I love this movie so much, is because of the parallels to just magicians and just the pursuit of greatness or perfection, or being the best. But also with it's very meta in the description of movie making itself. It's a movie essentially talking about movie making, and also how far are you willing to go to make the perfect movie. I mean, some of these guys and directors kind of literally just run their life into the ground. I mean, one of the best examples is probably Stanley Kubrick. Someone that literally drove himself to his death because he wanted it his way, perfect and better than anybody else. And it's I don't know, to me it makes it's a fantastic movie. This is like an essential. Like if I were to have, like a top 100 movies that I would have on a desert island, this would definitely be one of them for sure.
It's a very good movie when it comes to movie making. Like, I agree with you. I could see it as an essential. As someone who'd never seen it before, I can already see that. Just like even in the way it works in its themes in like the background, like Edison and Tesla being just like background characters, that's like perfect. Same themes going
Exactly.
on. Of
Yeah, it's still the same issue.
yeah, it's
Somebody's
interesting.
fighting against somebody
Like,
else, but
yeah.
it's the same
Like
idea.
They talk explicitly about. I don't know what's going on. My wife's making some noise. Sorry. I don't know what's going on with. Or sorry, Tesla has the energy coil, and everybody has to. Just Edison trying to talk bad about us.
Yeah.
His alternating currents, and it's like that's the same type of thing that they would be doing to each other, the
Yeah.
main characters of the movie.
It's like, no, this is the original transported man. Well, this is the new transported man. This is the
Yeah.
real transported man. It's like, it's the same thing.
When Bale said, forgive Angier, he did his best, when he's hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, I
whatever.
loved that too, with the double, and he catches the double and has him hanging on the rope coming down. And just like,
Yeah.
I'm across the street. It very much felt like that's like a Las Vegas kind of thing in a way. Like Vegas showmanship. Like, hey.
Was that also Hugh Jackman just playing that guy?
Yes.
Yes.
the
With
double?
Yeah, I
just
think
with
they-
the.
I was
bad
really
TV.
hoping that they just found an actor who looked just like Hugh Jackman.
That would have been
somehow, but, like,
so
vaguely
amazing.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't want to look it up because I just wanted to believe that it wasn't like him. Oh, that's a shame.
Another thing I really love about this movie is the visuals of it. Just some of the scenes like Tesla when he's with Andy Serkis and he shows that field lit up with all the light bulbs and the
Oh,
snow.
love that shot.
That
And
was really cool.
And then even just the panning of the mountain village, with the snow and the mountains, and just some of just visually some of the stuff he did is just really cool. And that mountain scene actually reminded me of Batman. I was like, is this stock footage from Batman Begins? Like, is that
Yeah.
the village where
You could see some sensibilities from it.
yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, just visually how he like crafts some of these really cool shots, and at the same time you're thinking, oh, this is amazing. Is this science? Is this magic? How is he doing it? Because even us in like our modern age, we're like, how did they do this? There's no wires, there's no nothing,
Yeah.
And so that was its own magic show in a way, and that was really, really cool.
I just accepted by the end that Tesla was basically an actual wizard.
Yeah.
The end of the movie.
Pretty much.
Like,
I mean, they
all right.
essentially call him a wizard.
Yeah, I mean, he somehow uses a ball of electricity to like clone Hugh Jackman over and over again, or whatever. I thought that was that's one of the things that the movie that I liked. It's like it's kind of its twist at the end was that there was no twist.
Yeah, it
Right.
really
Like,
is what
it
it
sets you
is.
up. It plays on your expectations that there's going to be some sort of like bigger reveal. Like, oh, okay. You see all the cloned hats and the cloned cats, and you're like, okay, but that was all in the journal that he planted, so that was probably all fake, and there's probably some sort of like turn, like the guy who drowned in the water was probably really the double the whole time, or something like that,
Yeah.
And but then no, it's just okay, he actually cloned himself 100 times or something weird like that. And
Yeah.
I loved how the movie opens with that all the top hats, in that in the woods, and then how they come back to that at the end. And you're like, oh my gosh,
and
'cause
like
you
all the
have no
water tanks and
context
stuff
for it.
too. Mhm.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Like it's so crazy. They show it. They almost hand it to you
yeah.
without saying it, but they have just showed it to you, and I love that. They literally just hold it right in front of you, and just say, "Hey."
They give you both reveals the whole time. Like I said, like they lie to you by telling the truth, because they even have Christian Bale's wife knows the whole time that he is more than one person. Like,
She knows, but she doesn't know.
she knows, but she doesn't. But like they give
That
us
was
that
amazing,
huge
yeah.
clue the whole time.
Mhm.
Like you love me today, you don't love me other days. Like, I
Yeah, or
can
it's not
tell
true
you don't
today.
actually love me. And you have this character that the whole time he's there, you're just like, why doesn't this guy ever talk? Who the hell is this guy? Like it's like
Yeah.
irritating. You want it, like you know, there's something up with him.
Well,
For
and,
whatever
and like you
reason,
said,
yeah.
Michael Caine says he uses a double, and we're like,
Exactly.
nah, that can't be it.
Yeah.
It's too obvious.
It's like,
Yeah,
no,
but
that's
it's
too
right
simple.
on the
He's got to
nose,
be doing
yeah.
it something. Another thing that I just thought of is a bit interesting is with his wife. She can kind of tell, but she's not quite sure. And I remember there's a scene early on before Christian Bale's character starts doing his own act, and he's still an assistant, where the guy smashes the cage with the bird in it, and the little kid starts to cry. It's right before they start to date and I guess get married at that point.
Yeah.
And
Right,
the little
right.
boy's like, he killed it. And the kid he knows something's wrong, and he knows what's up. And, it's a very innocent person is able to see through all the BS, an untainted mind. And I guess someone like her who isn't involved in all the conspiracy and just the one-upmanship and the showmanship, she's able to see like something's different. You're not who you are. Like she's just able to tell.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's meant to be a parallel there between that or not, but
I can see it, and that scene also lets you in right away that Christian Bale is like he has big secrets, because we see right after that the bird is dead, like that the bird that he shows him that's fine isn't the same bird, and right there the fact that it isn't the same bird is just another clue that it's not the same Christian Bale a lot of the time. Like there's two Christian Bales, one dies and the other one isn't the same one,
Yep.
And then,
one loves the brunette, one loves
Scarjo.
Scarjo, yeah.
Whatever
yeah.
her name is.
Her
Rebecca
name is
Hall.
Olivia.
Rebecca Hall, that's who it is.
There we
Rebecca
go.
Hall.
Oh man, I had something I wanted to say, but I think and they set up Christian Bale's arc right in the beginning too, with the old man, the old Asian man,
Right.
who is living the gimmick.
Yeah, and he
lives
calls
it day
it.
in and day out. He calls
he's like,
it because that's what
this
he's doing.
is the act. He's like, I know this because I'm doing that.
Yeah, like
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think that he was already
Yeah.
living it.
I mean,
Yeah, so he could recognize someone that did it as well.
yeah, it's like it's crazy. Man.
Yeah, it takes one to know one.
And it makes sense why he says his trick is. He says early on, like, I'm the only one who can do my trick.
Yeah.
Because he has dedicated his entire life to this one magic trick. Like,
Yep. Which is very interesting as well, because if you go back, I mean, I've had the privilege of seeing this movie multiple times, and when you start to see your first introductions to the character, when you see them as plants in the audience for other magicians, still being magician assistants, you see Fallon, aka the other brother, Christian Bale's brother, is in the audience with him every time. Either next to him or as they're panning down the rows, it's 1, 2, 3.
Interesting.
He is always there. If you look, you can see it. It's very subtle, but he is there. And so it's, I know it's
plain sight.
Yeah, it's one of those things like it's there, you just don't know it, and I love it. And gosh, it's such a great, it's a great magic trick. It's a cinematic magic trick. They give you everything to see it, but you don't have every little piece to piece it together until the end, unless you know the keyword or unless you know the key.
Yeah.
Kind of like the key to the cipher in the way too.
It's just literally movie misdirection, because Nolan knows what you're looking at, what you're interested in the whole time, to the point where you don't look for the obvious answer that's right in front of you, which is exactly what magic is. Like,
right.
Well, it was
crazy, man.
What was interesting too, I feel like in some ways when David Bowie was talking about how you can only make one leap at a time, right? If you take too many leaps, people won't go with you. And he said, I hope you have better luck than I did, kind of a thing. And I feel like it's the same in everything, really, like movies or anything. People have, that was so ahead of its time, and now it's commonplace.
You can only be so innovative or only so progressive at one time. Like if you go too far or too hardcore, people won't do it. I guess you can kind of say there's a parallel with that with Peter Jackson and the high frame rate, the 60 FPS or 48 FPS movies that he tried to do.
Ugh.
Yeah. I saw it. It was weird. And honestly, it made 3D look better. I worked at a movie theater at the time. It did. It actually made 3D look a lot better. But yeah, I totally agree.
Well, and when they pitched it to the last, he said, I need 100 shows. They bring in that big producer or whatever, and he sees the trick, and he's like, you're going to need to dress it up and dumb it down. Essentially, he said you need to make it to where people can believe that it's not real.
Yeah, you need to make them doubt just for a little bit, and then bring them back.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. I thought that was an interesting commentary on just the whole scenario.
Yeah. Agreed. Because, I mean, and also you can go back to when you see Christian Bale do the trick for the first time, but we're watching from the audience perspective. We're not watching the stage anymore for the end of the trick. The room is just stunned, and there's like maybe one clap, and that's it.
Well, yeah, and they said like it's too simple, right? They said he's an amazing magician, but he has no showmanship. He doesn't know how to work the crowd.
Right.
He gets it later, obviously, but at
All
that
thanks
time,
to
he didn't.
ScarJo.
Exactly.
I can make you great.
She was very willing to turn on. On
Well,
Hugh
I mean,
Jackman's character.
he made it pretty abundantly clear that she was really nothing more than a tool at that
Expendable
point.
to him. Yeah,
She was
yeah,
really
that's
seen as
fair.
an assistant or an errand person at that point.
I
and
guess
she
if I
felt
were her,
tossed to the
though,
curb.
I wouldn't feel like Christian Bale was gonna view me as anything more than that either. When both of them were so clearly obsessed with their rivalry.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
you know,
we
I
also
was-
didn't
I
see
was
much of
gonna
the
s-
other brother with his relationship with her,
That's
though.
true. We didn't. Well, we don't. I mean, I don't know how much we saw, but we. to be fair.
It seems like it's hard to tell who exactly of the doubles, but
Yeah.
the
It's
one I
safe
feel
to
like
say the one who died was the one who loved Scarlett Johansson, right?
No, I think it was
Wasn't it?
I think it was the family man
You think the family man is the one who died?
because of the way he reacts to the daughter.
yeah,
And
I
the
do
way
agree
he
with
the way
that,
he
actually.
changes
Okay,
his
okay,
mind
yeah,
to
you're
say,
right, you're right.
"Is you going to the workhouse?" Tell him I changed my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I
Okay,
think
okay.
he's the one that passes away, which I think also makes the death that much more sad for him with his
Sad.
execution, or like just because he's losing what's
lost
left of
everything.
his life. Yeah, he's now his wife killed herself. His daughter is maybe going to a situation he doesn't know if she'll be safe, and he's about to be killed as well.
It's interesting though because like you watch these guys and they obviously have capacity for love, but they fill it with with their magic basically.
Their obsession is greater than anything else to them. I
Right.
mean, it's
Mhm.
like Tesla says, like the obsession consumes or whatever. Like he says that he loved his wife or whatever, that they love Scarlett Johansson, but they don't really, at least not in the
Yeah.
way that I experience love or know
Right.
love, because I wouldn't be like, so
Yeah,
if I love somebody, I wouldn't be willing to let them die so I could continue doing my magic trick.
Exactly.
You know, like I would come clean with my wife, I would think eventually, you know.
Well, there's
Yeah.
an interesting comment too what he says at the end when Christian Bale's they're being, honest with each other, I guess, for the first time,
Mhm.
is he said, we each had half a life and that was enough for us.
Mhm.
And that's crazy to think
I
about,
know.
their profession was everything to them and they lived half. It's
Uh-huh.
nuts. I mean, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it. It's one of those things like I would not see anything as worth pushing that hard. I would have called Uncle much sooner. But man, it's interesting to watch these, basically two trains coming right at each other. Like, who's gonna survive? And honestly, really neither really succeed.
Yeah.
I mean,
They both do.
So, any flaws with the movie, guys?
I mean, not
I
many.
think
Not many.
My only thing is, I think we could have maybe had them appear more like they were friends early on. Or
Yeah,
something.
maybe
Yeah, when
more prelude to
Yeah.
everything.
And the rivalry like really escalates quickly is my own thing, with like no consequences to anybody. Like it was
Yeah.
just weird that like only when one of them allegedly murdered the other did somebody finally call the cops, not when one like shot off the other one's fingers or like
Right.
oh my god, call the cops, dude. What are you doing? Like,
Yeah, I mean, in a way,
no,
that
it
the
wasn't like- it
escalation is
wasn't
kind of
bad,
justified,
yeah.
though. I mean, he tied a knot that Michael Caine said it's not a good wet knot. It's going to swell, and she's not going to be able to get out.
I just finally realized why he can't remember which knot he tied. I don't know
Oh,
why it
yeah,
didn't,
'cause
like,
the
click
other
with me
brother
before.
tied it.
The other brother did it. Yeah, that's why he can't remember. What he did. That's like.
But you'd think on that note though, you'd think that they would have talked about it, right? And like, dude, what knot did you tie?
Maybe,
then
and,
every
also
time-
one of the things that I just remembered as well. I believe one of the brothers is the magician, the showman, and the other I believe is the Michael Caine character, the architect of
the
the act.
support, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Like the
think
way that he's yelling at him in the shop, he's like, "Why can't you outsmart him? Why can't you
Yeah.
figure him out?" One of them
Yeah.
is clearly the brain. The other
Yes.
is the one that comes across with the
That's
showman
true.
in the execution.
I think
and-
that is definitely right.
Yeah, and so I guess maybe the one that maybe tied the bolder knot, the more dangerous knot, I think was the showman. Whereas the technical guy probably wouldn't have even thought to do that. He's like, no, that's too risky.
It's
That's
too much of a
gonna
risk,
jeopardize
yeah.
the trick.
They really had shit or bad planning. Sorry,
It's all right.
For the situation where something bad happens with the trick. You would think that glass doesn't need to be so thick that Michael Caine can't break it.
And
It
also,
really bothered
why are we
me.
letting the old man swing the axe? You got Wolverine and Batman right here.
I was just sitting there, and I'm like, all right, so he's there. Like, they clearly have a contingency. Have they tested this contingency one time? Took him like 10 swings to break the glass, dude.
Yeah, like you should make this like 3 swings max. And like, hold on. You're about 30 years younger than me. You swing. You swing, young man.
You
go get
take
it.
that, sir.
You have a 6-pack. I have a singular ab. You go for it.
One thing that was kind of ironic and funny in some ways is that, obviously one of Bale's minor tricks was the bullet catch, and he literally caught the bullet with his hand when he shoots him. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's true. It hurts.
I liked the oh goodness gracious. No, brain. Don't lose. We would say, one of my favorite lines, one of my favorite parts of the movie is when after the fact, when you understand why he says it, when Michael Caine tells Hugh Jackman that he was lying about what it's like to drown.
Oh my gosh,
Because
I was just
obviously
thinking about that.
knowing what it's like to drown has made it easier for him to do what he's been doing for 100 shows, like
Right.
he stepped into the tank and died. At least part of him has to remember that it's
just
supposed
going
to be
home,
like going
right?
home.
Yeah.
And then Michael Caine lets him know, no, every version of you that died in horrible agony.
Yep.
You're crazy.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gone, dude.
Yeah.
You're no longer a part of the human race. You're done.
Well, not to mention, what he thinks about his wife. If he ever, he's so egocentric at that point that,
Yeah.
understanding that even makes it worse.
Mhm.
Wasn't it interesting though that Michael Caine turned on him at the end to help rescue the girl? I thought that was kind of interesting because he was like loyal to a fault with this guy through the whole thing, burying the other guy alive and doing all that other stuff. He went to some pretty intense lengths up until the end.
Mm-hmm.
He really did. Michael Caine, like he said, obsession is a young man's game.
Mhm.
I guess he got too old for that.
Yeah, he's like, I
nonsense.
can't handle this.
Yeah. It's interesting though because I guess he did tell him to back off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
was
he
gonna
basically
say-
told him, like, stop it. This is going to consume you. I mean, and Mega or somebody mentioned it earlier that, Tesla had even warned Hugh Jackman of the same thing. Like, just there's nothing good that's going to come of this machine. It will consume you if you open it.
Right.
Like, do yourself a favor and just bury it. Drop it in the ocean and bury it. Don't even use it.
So wouldn't you think? I mean, maybe it's just part of like the storytelling, but wouldn't you think like Tesla bears some responsibility for making the machine? Like,
does and
at
he
what
doesn't.
point do you walk away and say no? Like, I'm not even going to make this.
But he also, Hugh Jackman, like, he called him out and said, but a man that has great ambition as well, that I'm never going to stop. So if I don't find it with you, I'm going to find it with somebody else. So you might as well build
That's
it.
true.
And I think Tesla is somebody in the movie who also has great ambition and is more interested in
And the science.
pushing the boundaries than he
Yeah,
is in
that's
anything
true.
else.
Mhm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right,
So I
guys.
love
It sounds like we had some good thoughts.
So Hugh Jackman truly was the greatest showman, is what we learned.
Indeed. I thought that was.
Now I want to go see The Greatest Showman after seeing
Does-
this and talking about this.
Does he also die 100 times in The Greatest Showman, or what?
He lives.
Is he even a magician in The Greatest Showman, or is he?
No.
Oh, dang, that would have been so great.
But I mean, it's the same thing. Like the scene where he's under the stage and it's driving him crazy because he craves the applause of the people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that same kind of driving force that stirs him in that movie. There's almost, and I think it happens in a lot of movies, but people, it's that allure of fame and stardom, and it kind of starts to turn you
Mhm.
if you get too addicted to it. But
Right.
anyway.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to kind of bring us to the end here. I'm trying to keep us in the 90-minute marker. I know we could probably talk about this movie for a lot
discourse.
longer, but yes, excellent talks, man. And Mega and Steel, thank you so much for joining us again. I'd love to get you guys back on sometime soon. But before we close
give me
down,
more homework.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. We will announce the next movie. I usually wait until the first week of the month. That way we know what's coming and going to all the streaming platforms. And then that way I can take a look, see what's still there. And then I usually try to make a choice by the end of the first week of the month. And so if you're wanting to know what that selection is as soon as possible, you can follow me on Twitter. You can find me at Captain McFly TV. You can also follow the channel here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Captain McFly. And if you want to join us live, you can hang out with us live and join in on the chat and the discourse in there and hear us talk about it in real time. We also post it after the fact, so you can hear this on iTunes, Google Play, Anchor.fm, YouTube, and then in our VODs and collection on Twitch as well. And before we close out, Mega, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me at twitch.tv/MegaMagwitch, where I stream every day starting around 10 a.m. if I wake up on time, and we play a lot of Fortnite. It really doesn't matter what we play. We do a lot of discussing. I do a lot of talk with the chat. That's my jam. So whatever you want to talk about, you want to talk about movies, come stop by. Talk about movies with me, all right? Talk about Hugh Jackman's rockin' bod and how he should have been the one swinging the axe. Let's do it. It'll be a great time, I promise. All right.
Awesome. And Steelman, where can we find you on the internet if you would like to be found on the internet?
It's a very good question. I think you asked me that last time. I will be in both of y'all's digital forums, following you in your adventures, and I'll have to find another place for me to find a digital place, my place in this world, as it were.
Well, guys,
just give him your address.
Yeah, just give us your home address. It's just to send Amazon gifts. Well, guys, that's gonna do us for this episode of AV Club. I'll see you guys next month. Watch some good movies and stuff. Be ready for some great cinematic greatness and discussions for next time. And we'll see you guys later. We're going to switch over to playing some Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild here on the channel. We're working our way through Master Mode. I know, best game ever. It's so good. And I know, if that interests you, feel free to hang out with us. Or if you're interested in video games and you're listening to this after the fact, we'd love to come hang out with you as well. We play a little bit of everything. So thank you so much, guys. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Later. Nice talking with you guys.
All right, dudes and dudettes, we're going to start switching over to playing some Zelda. Yeah. I do need to